Sunday chat today, all about making money. I mean, that's what we're here for, really, aren't we? I mean, the end of the day, we can do what we like, but we all need to be paid. So I've got a few things that I'm going to talk about today, and I really hope this actually helps, because I know most of you are probably like me at the start, where you've got this really great idea and now you're thinking, how am I actually going to make money? Or you've been doing it for a while and you're just not making money. It's really, really hard. And I totally understand that. It's very, very difficult. So like I said, let's get into our video and we will start to talk about how this all happens and a few suggestions that I have. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask, of course. Hi, Michelle. Welcome, my love. I hope you're doing well on this Sunday morning. It's not very nice in Melbourne. It's very rainy and cold. So now I'm going to put my glasses on because, as you all know, I really can't see anymore without glasses. But my husband says they're a sign of intelligence, so hopefully. Hi, Trish. Good morning to you too, lovely. I have actually been up till 4 a.m. I think, because I just couldn't sleep. I had this business idea. Hi, Mark. Welcome. So now let's start to get into our chat a little bit about how this all works, because when we all start, obviously, like I said, you've got an idea. You know where you're going to go. You should have by now, if you're looking at making money by now. Hi, Kelsey. You should have really looked into your target market, cash flow. There's many things that all have to do, and they're the boring side, but honestly, that is how you make money. There's no good coming into it and just saying, well, I'll go to a market, I'll make money and my job's done. And also, when we talk about that, the one thing that is really important is you need to ask yourself, okay, do you want to do a market on the weekend just to earn some extra money? Or a lot of people do markets and earn a full-time job, but you're not going to scale up to a really large level working at a market. Of course, it can help you, and you might actually come across some really good contacts that will start buying your things and so on. Hello, Debbie. Welcome, darling. And the one thing too, look, and like I said, if you're going to do markets and all that, that is fine. But a lot of people say to me, they really want to get into wholesale. They want to just see the orders come in. And, let's be honest here, with wholesale, the thing is, you're not depending on that customer coming through the door and buying your product. The good thing about wholesale is you're literally just selling a bulk amount to somebody, and it's really not your problem if it sells or it doesn't. And I know that sounds really horrible to say. And of course, for me, I want all of the people that buy from me wholesale, I want them to sell it. And I do my best to make sure the product's good. I'm giving all the information and so on. But at the end of the day, if you have a shop, you're just desperate for someone to come in, buy it, and that's it. Good morning, love. Good evening, lovely. I know it's probably the day before for you guys, but it's Sunday in Australia in the morning at 11 a.m. So, so like I said, that is the difference with wholesale. So wholesale, it kind of takes that, I always think wholesale takes that question mark away. Look, I've actually had my own shop before, and I'm telling you, when things aren't good in a shop, you're literally sitting there thinking, oh, gee, I hope people come in and buy something today because I got to pay the rent or whatever. And lots of stores are like that, and especially in these bad times. But doing wholesale sometimes can really help you, especially if you get a big company to pick you up and then they literally, they're doing really well and they want to sell your things. Yeah, oh yeah, that's right, April. Yes, 100% love. She was just asking, do I suggest insurance and so on. So before you're looking at wholesale, before you're looking at, even selling it at a market, you need to have insurance. You definitely need to. And, this is the thing. Everyone talks about getting insurance. So one thing I'm going to talk about that's important with insurance is actually understanding your insurance, because a lot of people think, well, okay, I'm paying my $50 a month or whatever you're paying. So I'm insured and nothing's going to happen. Well, that's not true. You need to understand your insurance really well, because some insurance won't even allow you to buy certain products from overseas. They may make it, you might have to get it here. You might have to meet so many different stricter regulations on your insurance for them to cover you. So that is really important. So number one, understand your insurance. Obviously, you need your product, and most importantly, 100%, this is my key thing, everybody, you need your target market. And I know that's hard because when I first started, I thought, oh, I'm just going to sell to anyone. And I didn't really understand because I thought, well, why would I sell to one group of people? Then, so say my target market was, 15 to 30-year-olds. I was thinking, well, why can't I sell to someone 50? Well, of course you can, but you need a target market. And it's really a business strategy to help you zone in on a certain market. And, the thing is, there's no good going in and just thinking I'll sell to everyone, because you'll do what I did, and I'll tell you probably 80% of other businesses do. They make their product, they think it looks great, and then they go, no, I don't like it, then they start again. And then it comes into that spiral of continuously updating, continuously branding, changing your logos and things like that. And I definitely suggest you don't do that. Because the thing is, when you keep changing your logos, nobody recognizes your business. And I know myself, because I did change mine at one stage. I've only changed my logo once. And I actually had somebody reach out and say, is this the same company? Because I wanted to buy a candle, but the logo isn't the same. And she actually felt like it was a bit of, a scammer. And I said, no, it's not. I've just changed my label and updated. So that's the thing. Sometimes people think maybe someone's grabbed your idea if you're changing your logo too much. So try and keep with your logo and get that right at the start. So like I said, at the start, we want the branding, which is your logo and things like that, and your product. That's number one. You do need your target market. Number two, you do need your insurance. Number three. And today I'm going to get to talk about, starting to do trade fairs and things like that. So as I said, when you're starting, you might say, which I did, and most people do, they go to their local market. I 100% suggest that you do markets, because it will actually give you confidence. It will get you out of, that real comfort zone. It will get you pushing your product, because learning to actually sell and push your product is really hard. And especially if you're like me, I sort of think, oh, maybe they can't afford it, or maybe I'm charging too much. And that's the thing that goes through your head, but you can't think like that. You have to think like a business person. And you just have to think, okay, that's my product. I've got my price. I know what it is. And also, that's another thing. Set your price, everybody. And I'm going to talk about the price in a minute, because this actually makes me a little sad when I see people that don't realize their value. Now, when we're looking at pricing, there's some important things that you really need to think about. So number one, have you actually invested your time into making it, which I know you have, we all do. And so investing your time means you need to be paid, because eventually if you give up your full-time job that a lot of you are probably doing, and this is on the side, well, you need to be paid, because obviously you can't pay the mortgage or the rent if you don't get paid. So, what I do is I basically, so say I'm going to organize, all right, we'll use this as an example, right? I've got my little soap here. So let's pretend we're going to go, okay, we want to sell this. There's no good saying, well, I want $5 for this, because where's $5? You just pluck that out of the air. You need to work out what it cost to make this. And when I say what it costs, that means, so for instance, say you're going to use 10 grams of shea butter in this. You would need to go back and say, okay, what am I paying per kilo of shea butter? And then you would divide that, put the 10 grams, and obviously you're going to divide that and work out your cost. So say it costs 10 cents in shea butter for that. You need to add that in. If it's 5 cents for cocoa, add that in. If it's 1 cent for something, add that in, because I know you think, well, 5 cents, 1 cent, it's nothing, but that adds up when you start to sell on a massive, a bigger playing field. So that's really important. So first, you really need to understand your price. Once you've got your price, generally this is how it works. And of course, like I said, add your time in. So for instance, if you're going to pour these in bulk, like I make mine in a big slab mold. So out of my slab mold, I get about 50 bars of soap. And so out of 50, you might say, okay, what's my time to do that? So say it took me 30 minutes and I want to be paid $50 for my 30 minutes. then you would divide that $50 by obviously 50 bars of soap, and then that needs to go into your soap. And I know some of you are going to say, well, then it makes it really expensive. No one will buy it. Well, I'm going to tell you that is actually how business works. No big business says, oh, well, it makes it too expensive. They don't care. They're just like, okay, what does it cost to make it? Now, how are we going to make money? So like I said, so you've got all your costing, you know what that's going to cost. And, to everybody, I always say add some wiggle room. And this is what I do. I'm a little bit different to what a lot of companies do. So for me, what I actually do is I work out my cost and, with my time, everything else that I want in it. So I know my cost per product. Then I times that by 2, and that is my wholesale. But then I also add on 10%. So that 10% is your wiggle room. So that means if, you've made a mistake and the shipping's more expensive, or or the price of the product or the ingredients goes up, then you have wiggle room to work with that. And that's what I suggest. So like I said, for wholesale, I do times 2 plus 10%. If I'm going to be doing retail, then I do times 4 plus 20%. And that's how I work out my cost. So hopefully that actually helps. And I mean, look, I do know one thing I am going to say. Sometimes, even though I've got those figures, sometimes you've got to think about it. So it might be candles behind me with the lids, the candle, and I actually use vinyl to make the labels. Now, they're really expensive to make. So what I actually do with those ones at the back there is I don't times it by 4. It's times by, I think, 2.8, because I just know the cost will be too expensive for people. So when I do those ones, that's the thing with that one that I wanted to tell you, that, they are a little bit different. And sometimes you will have a product that, you might do a candle, it might come out to be $80. Well, no one is going to pay $80. You have to be realistic as well. But, if it's in a fancy store, maybe. But generally, no, you need to be realistic. And also, if it costs too much, then you need to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, can I get my candle or jar or fragrance or something from somewhere else if it's too expensive? Or maybe it's not your target market and you need to up that target market game. So, so anyway, like I said, we've started, we understand that's the costing side, and then we know that. So once we know that, then you can go to market and you can start to sell your product. So at market, definitely make sure your stall looks good, that you've done some homework on branding your stall, because at the start, when I did markets, there was markets I only earned $80, and I thought, why aren't I earning money? I should be earning more. Other people are. And then what I did is I looked at the stall, I updated it, I put things on higher things, so I had like little sort of stepping stool things, so that my products were higher and they were on different levels. And then I started literally going from earning $80 to $500 and then close to $1,000 in the end. I actually don't do markets anymore because I actually hurt my back. So that's why I actually don't actually do them anymore as well. And plus I was looking after my dad and it just got a little bit difficult. But, it's a great stepping stool, to start with that and do that. And then you need to get into your community. And, a part of making money and being successful is letting people know who you are. Wherever I go, I talk about what I do. And you'll be amazed the amount of people that I've actually handed out a card to my hairdresser and so on, a business card, because if they ask what you do, you say, here, have a look, see what you think. And you just don't know, they might buy it. And even if they don't, they'll say to someone else, hey, I found this new company. And that's what I had. I actually had a couple people say, I found this company, but guess what? She's in Australia. It's so much better. We don't have to get an overseas brand. And that was a big selling point for me. So, and I didn't even have to sell that. Other people were selling it for me, telling other people about it. So that is definitely your way to make money. But I'm going to also go into trade fairs. So now that we've talked about that, let's get into the talk of trade fairs, because I know a lot of people are sort of, they've done the market and now you think, well, I'm going to do a trade fair, which is exactly what I will be doing. So next year, I think I'll go into a trade fair, and I have done trade fairs before. They are very lucrative to get customers in. but you need to do a lot of things before you get to a trade fair. So before you get to them, you need to have at least a booklet. So at least a flyer with your products on. I would suggest that you actually have an A4 booklet of 4 to 8 pages at least, and you'll be able to give that away to people at the trade fair. Because if you have people coming up and they say, hey, I've got a gift store, I'd love to stock your things, you don't want them just to go away after talking to you because they have nothing in their hand to remember you by. And remember, they might see 100 stalls on the day. Hi, Bruni. Yes, you have caught me live, darling. Welcome. So like I said, you've got your booklet at the trade fair and that you want to be able to give that away. It's important to have your website on it, your email, your phone number, all of those details on it. Because if you give them a brochure and someone else doesn't, they're going to remember you. And make sure your brochure looks really good. You can design that, and this is what I do. I'm going to tell you how I actually do mine. I actually design mine all on Canva. And then I go over to Vistaprint and I print it out. And I don't use the cheap paper to print them out. I actually use a thicker paper because you want it to look really good. But if you have a printing house near you or someone that you can go in and talk to, tell them your idea, tell them what you're trying to do. And often they will help you because they want to help small business as well. So often they'll say, okay, maybe we can do a deal if you're going to come back. So that's the thing. Talk to people and get all that. So like I said, you're organizing the trade fair. So first of all, you've got all your products. You've got your price list because you need a price list. That can be in the booklet. And you want to be able to give that booklet away as well as business cards and everything else. And you want to be able to, on the table or your booth, to have, those transparent kind of holders that hold everything so it looks professional. You want to have that so that if you're talking to someone else, somebody else can come up and just grab that brochure and go if you can't do it. Now, I'm going to talk about the cost of a trade fair. It's very expensive, extremely expensive. And I know that's why a lot of people don't do it because they think I can't afford it. And 100% I understand that. I honestly do understand it is expensive. So the one that I suggest if you're in Melbourne, Australia, or even you're not even Melbourne, they do it in Sydney as well. It's called the Reed, which is REED. It's the Reed Gift Fair, and lots of people that have gift stores and, just retail stores and so on, they go there to look for people that they want to stock their wholesale products. So I've been to them lots of times. It's usually held around the exhibition buildings in Melbourne if you go to the Melbourne one. And basically what happens is, people come in the door and when they're a retailer, they actually don't need to pay. They get it for free, their ticket for free to come in the door. And then what they're doing is going around and looking. They can actually order something on the day because what happens is you will have like little scan products. You can have little scan tags on your products and they can scan things. And then after that, they'll have a list of what they actually want to buy. They can buy on the day if they want to, or they can literally just order. So usually you would get them to order and then you would give them a 30-day account or, whatever you want. But you can say, no, we just have, you need to pay directly because we're small. You need to pay before we ship it. That's something you can do as well. So don't feel like you can't do that, but set your terms before you go to the trade fair as well, because you want to be able to say, you don't want somebody to say, what are your fees? So what's your structure? And you don't want to go, I haven't thought about it, because that's really unprofessional. You need to know exactly what you're going to say. So I would really understand that side as well. And now let me see where my little thing is as well, because I've got a few things on my little trade fair on my paper here that so I can tell you as well. So now when we're looking at the cost for a trade fair, it's anything from $2,000 to $10,000. It's really dear. But the average booth would be around $3,500, I would say. And it's not a small booth, but the thing too is you don't want to go to, and you don't want to say, okay, I'm going to do this trade fair, I'm going to have one table, because you'll look unprofessional. So you need to, my suggestion would be go as just a customer. You can buy a ticket online. It's not that expensive to go to these Reed fairs. And I would actually go to have a look how other people have set them up. Now, remember, you'll have big companies there that, spend $100,000 with their setup. I mean, I've seen it, huge companies. They'll have 5 stalls running in a row. But don't worry, it doesn't matter about competing with them. You don't worry about that. You might have a product someone really likes that's different and unique. So you don't need to compete. But the thing is, you need to understand, how they've set that up, and it will give you ideas. Never copy someone, but it will give you ideas on what you're going to do. And so what most of them do is they actually have almost like a mini shop set up. So they'll have flooring, walls, they might have pictures hanging on the walls, they might even bring in carpet, plants, they might have a wall that's full of, plants, like a plant wall or something like that. So that's how basically you set up for the markets, for the trade fairs. And the thing too, I know that you probably think $3,000, that's a lot of money, I can't afford that. But usually you might get 8, 10, 12, 15 wholesale companies take your brochure and possibly buy from you. At the least, you want about 5 to take away from the cost that you've invested in that. Now, there are lots of trade fairs around, but I do know the Reed one's been going for about 50 years, and it's well known to retailers in Australia. So, go online and just have a look. I don't have any affiliation with them or anything. It's just one that I've been to myself as a buyer, and I've also been to them as an exhibitor. So, and I really do say that they're very good. And they have lots of things going on to keep people interested. Like there's a cafe in there, and there's usually music and stuff like that. So it keeps people hanging around. And, you might only do 1 or 2 and find that that's all you need for now, or you might only do 1 every few years. But if you're really struggling to make money, and I know because wholesale is really hard, if you keep approaching people and you're just getting a no, then I think you need to step it up and go to a trade fair. But the hard thing is a lot of people sort of think, well, I don't have the money. And I know you don't. And I know I'm the same because, when you start out, you think, well, I just don't have the money to be able to pay for this. But it's either sitting at home just hoping that you're going to get customers and you're not. That's not how you get customers. Or you've got to just say, okay, I just have to do this, or do markets. Maybe you need to do markets for a year to get that money and then invest that money into the trade fair and still work at the same time. That's what I would suggest. So I hope that has been a little bit helpful in regards to trade fairs and how it works. And usually you pay up front. You do need to pay up front to these trade fairs. So like I said, I know it's expensive. And there's a number of YouTube videos on trade fairs. So just type that in or Google, just Google that in. Google will tell you anything. And then you'll get some information on trade fairs in your country as well. But like I said, I do suggest it. And, we're kind of getting over COVID a little bit. Obviously it's still around, but we're at the stage now where people are starting to buy. Shops are starting to restock their shops now. So it is a good time. And, usually they're held in mid-year. And the reason for that is to say they're held in March or June or July. And I think the Reed Fair this year is August. Basically, the whole idea is people get all the stock. They want it for Christmas. So the thing is too, you have to be able to know what you can produce. So there's no good saying, well, I can produce 10,000 bath bombs if you can only do 1,000. You need to be honest. And, maybe you might want to start small and say, well, these are our maximums that we can do in one go. Or there's, a 3-month lead time. So you can tell people a lead time. You might not have it just ready on cue. So that's really important as well. And like I said, honestly, I know that everyone wants to hear me give them an easy solution to make money, but there is not one. The best thing is, like I said, markets, trade fairs, and trade fairs definitely bring in the wholesale if that's where you're going to concentrate. And many companies will tell you that 80% of their bottom line is from wholesale because, oh, thank you, Novella. I hope it is good help, my love. I really do. But yeah, so that's what I sort of suggest on that. And, just do your sums and everything and work that out. Now, another thing when we're sort of looking at scaling up and, getting to that level, you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, everyone. You are. Let's be honest. You really are. And, sometimes it is a bit of a leap of faith. But things that you might need to think about, if you're going to be doing wholesale, you can't be doing it and wrapping with a hand press sealing machine. You probably need a proper machine, because can you imagine making 2,000 bath bombs with a tiny little hand press this big? It's just not going to work, and you won't be able to do it. You'll lose money because you can't produce enough. So when you're starting to do wholesale and upscaling, you'll need machines. So, whether it's like a shrink wrapping machine, whether you need camera and lights to take better photos, you might need to upgrade your camera, or whether you're using an iPhone, whatever you're using, you just may need to upgrade all of that. So that is super important as well. And there's different machines, you might need like a whereas at the moment, I do all my candles in like a slow cooker. But, you may need a proper, candle machine that melts it all down. So there's things like that you need. But if you can't afford that, look, honestly, even if you're going to wholesale, you can go and buy 10 of these slow cookers to melt your wax in. I mean, don't feel like you've got to spend $8,000 on the best products ever. At the start, maybe you need to scale up and just get more of the smaller ones that you've got, if that's what you can afford and it's in your budget. So then sort of scale that up, and then you know that you can produce everything. And one thing I'm going to tell you as well is sometimes, I've seen a lot of people that they say to me, oh, I'm not doing well. And I don't want to say something to them, but sometimes it is that their product just really isn't on brand. And people can't, they can't see their brand. So that's something that is really important. So look at different companies that have a branding and sort of work out where your branding is, because there's no good saying, I've got a pink soap, I've got a black soap, I've got a yellow soap, but then they don't kind of show your brand. And that's really important. And also when you're selling wholesale, a lot of companies now want biodegradable products. A lot of companies also, want to be thinking of less plastic. So you've got to think of all of those things as well. Are you producing products that are recycled, using recycled materials and things like that? Because that can also be a big selling point. And a big selling point for me with my body butters and things like that, a huge selling point is that I use certified products. They are A-grade shea and cocoa butter, and they're also fair trade. And I buy them from Deluxe Shea. But that's also a big selling point for me, that I'm using fair trade products, that I am actually trying to support people that are producing those materials that I'm using. I'm not just getting it and I don't know where it comes from. So that is really important to make money as well, because it's a selling point to help sell you a little bit better. So if somebody else isn't doing that, but you are, you may just have that little tiny step above them. So, and when I do the trade fair, I will definitely bring some videos if I'm allowed, because sometimes you're not allowed to do them. You're not allowed to put a video in there, but hopefully they'll let me, or even the setup, helping me set up and things like that. But that's something that I'll be doing as well. And if you need, like cameras and props and things like that, go onto Amazon. I mean, honestly, you can get some really cheap things. Etsy, I mean, you might have some people around the corner that make things, or look on Facebook Marketplace for props if you don't know, on different props and things like that. And also make sure that you understand the shipping, because shipping is very expensive. And I know myself, when I first started wholesale, I actually lost money. I didn't make money, I lost it, because I worked out my shipping, but then I didn't realize that because I was sending so much in bulk, that the shipping was heaps more. It was hundreds of dollars more than what I quoted. And I was thinking, why is everyone buying it? Well, of course they're buying it because my shipping was so cheap. So sometimes you need to be realistic as well. Oh, you're just joining in. Welcome, darling. You can watch this back anytime, my love. We're just talking about trade fairs, how you get there, the costs. So definitely watch all that back. And I'm sure lots of people will watch that back. And I really hope that helps. Now, another thing that I have to say that is a really good game changer, and I did have this early on because, as many of you know, I actually kept my job while I was building my business. Now, something that I did is I actually bought a Cricut machine. And I'll tell you, it really was good. For the $500 investment that I invested at the start, it was so good because I could actually print my own labels in small batches. and it was much more cost effective. I just use a normal standard printer. I printed them on, and of course the Cricut machine cuts them gorgeously around the edge. So even like your circle kind of labels, like let me show you something. So if you look at something like this would be expensive to get a label like that, or you can see how it's beautifully cut. Now, this is because I've got a Cricut machine, and the machine did it. So I just printed it on printable vinyl. Don't use the cheapest material you can get. I do suggest that you actually pay the money to get, the right materials to actually use, because if you had this in a shop, this would easily sell quite well. But when I first started, I didn't do that. I didn't understand. But that is super, super important, everyone, to make sure, that you're using the right materials and things like that. So, but yeah, like I said, I really do hope that this video has been helpful, and I will be bringing out some Cricut videos as we're going along to show you how to do it as well, how to make labels and things like that. But for today, I hope it's been really helpful, and have a look into trade fairs. Everyone have a look into markets. There's also things called market fairs, which means you would have a little store within a huge big shed, and then basically you don't even need to be there. They sell your products and pay you at the end of the month. That's another thing as well. There's one called Market Fair in Melbourne, Australia, and I know there's a number of them. There's one called 2.0 as well in Melbourne. So it means that you don't have to pay for a shop, you don't have to man the shop, but you literally put your products in, they take a percentage from you, and that's how you get your products out. But I know a lot of them won't take candles at the moment because there's just too many candles. So if that's the case and you're not making money, 100% I do suggest a trade fair, or getting your name out there, even a pop-up booth. Look at that in your shopping centre. And choose the right time, everybody. If you're doing a pop-up, it's no good doing a pop-up in January and February because no one has any money after Christmas. So definitely make sure you're choosing the right time and the right centre. You want a big Westfield store or something like that. It's no good doing a pop-up in a tiny little store that's not going to get the foot traffic either. And sometimes in pop-ups, you don't make money. It's more you're getting your brand out there. So if you want to make money, it's definitely trade fairs. I would think getting your name out there as well. And do check out with trade fairs, because some trade fairs don't allow you to sell on the day. It might be just, giving brochures and getting contacts, but they might not allow you to sell. So that's important to everybody. And if you're going to need a lead time, I would write that on the magazine that I talked about at the start, that you're going to give out all your brochure. I would definitely say lead time. So say your lead time 6-8 weeks. If you're a soap maker, it's going to be at least 6 weeks. The time you make it and cure it and so on. So I would definitely be saying that in there. And, in your magazine, write things that are really important to you. Like I said, because I use the shea that's fair trade, right? Certified shea. We use fair trade, certified shea, if that's what you're using. Or there might be something else. We only sell palm-free soaps. If that's something that you're targeting, if that's your market, talk about that. Or, we don't use paraffins in our soy. That is another thing, paraffin-free. Sometimes people don't want to know what's good. They want to know what's not in it. So, they want to know that it's paraffin-free, it's palm-free, it's all of these things. It might be nut-free. So they're things that you can say, this is what my product doesn't have, and people will be great because I don't want them and I'll buy it. So it's kind of like that reverse psychology in your product. So think about that. But definitely before you do a trade fair, you need to do your homework. You need to do your due diligence on all the money you're going to spend in regards to that. Anyway, I hope today has been really helpful. I hope that you guys really start selling some gorgeous products and getting your name out there. Also, this year in talking with this, we're talking about trade fairs. At the Australian Soaping and Candle Conference, we are actually going to be having mini trade booths. Some have already been taken. So if you want one of those, just go over to my site and ask. We charge $250 and you'll get 2 days of a little mini trade booth. And I know at a soap and candle conference, you might think, well, they're only soapers. They're not going to buy my products. But we have a lot of companies that actually do look into buying them. And we do have companies that will be attending that are buyers. So, and not to mention people that are even online. So if you're interested in that, it's a cheap way to start on a mini trade booth. And there might be lots of different, ways they do this. I don't know in America if their soaping guilds do have these sort of trade booths. I think they would. That may be something you can get into too, because, really you're getting hundreds of people in that one area, to help to sort of, show all your products too. So maybe that is something as well. Look into mini trade booths, or, like I said, when you're having like a soaping or candle conference, you're sort of zoning into all those people. And do remember too, like even at the conference, we have people like suppliers. Suppliers, they have people that say, hey, do you know a great candle maker? We need someone to stock. And they might say, well, hey, actually, yeah, So you don't know if you've got a trade booth or something at a conference or a guild, they may just take your card or your details and hand it out to someone else. You just don't know. Someone may come in and say, hey, do you have, a white candle that's paraffin free, that's, cotton wicked, for instance. That's what I'm looking for, and they will give out your details. So never think, well, it's a small fair or it's just a soaping guild, no one will pick me up. They will. So never discount anything like that, everybody. Anyway, I will see you on the next video, and I really do thank you for listening. Thank you to my Patreons over on Patreon, of course, and I will be putting in some links to all of the things over there as well. So if you're on there, oh, no problem, Karen. I really hope it was good advice as well. So I will pop all of that over on Patreon. I will put all the information over there as well. Oh, that's right, Mark. You just need one good customer to start you off. That's exactly what I had. I only had one person in wholesale, and I don't have heaps of wholesale accounts, but sometimes you just have one really good one. That's all you need to get you started and off. All right, bye, Debbie. No worries. I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.